Okay, so picture this. You're at your Oscars watch party, right? Everyone is making predictions about who is going to win what.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you just casually drop some, like, insider knowledge
Yeah.
that makes you, like, the most informed person in the room.
Right.
Like, something that no one else does.
I like it.
That's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
We're going to decode, like, all of the internet's obsession with the 2025 Oscars.
Okay.
And this is going to give you that insider edge so you can be that person at the party.
Love it.
We've got a mountain of data, search data, trending topics.
Yeah.
Basically, we have the digital pulse of, like, what everyone is buzzing about online.
I love this. It's like we're tapping into the collective hive mind of, like, movie fans
Right.
everywhere. And you know what's so fascinating to me is, like, right off the bat, how practical everyone is being.
Okay.
There are tons of searches for Oscars 2025 time.
Makes sense.
Where to watch,
Yeah.
even Oscars live stream. Like, people are already planning out
Yeah.
how they're going to tune in.
Yeah, it's not just about the awards themselves.
Right.
But it's the whole viewing experience.
Right.
The Oscars have become like this global event.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets interesting to me, at least amongst all of these, like, very practical searches.
Yeah.
A real mystery emerges.
Uh-oh.
The phrase, a complete unknown,
Interesting.
is popping up everywhere.
Okay.
What do you make of that?
That's a puzzle. It could be a movie title.
Yeah.
But I actually wonder if it's more of a sentiment, like, are people hoping for a surprise upset this year?
Okay.
Someone completely off the radar who sweeps the awards.
Interesting.
Now, that would make things interesting.
Ooh, a dark horse nominee coming out of nowhere.
I love it.
To steal the show, I love that it would be glued to my screen. It's like the ultimate underdog story.
Yeah.
And speaking of intrigue, another phrase that keeps popping up is the brutalist.
Okay.
Again, no clear context, just a name that's generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's trending without any explanation could mean that it's a controversial film
Oh.
that's sparking, both praise and criticism online.
Okay.
So maybe we're looking at a polarizing masterpiece that's, like, dividing audiences and critics.
Interesting.
And that would definitely put it on the map for a potential nomination.
For sure. It's like a film shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
So it makes it even more alluring.
Right.
Now, while we're on the topic of names,
Yeah.
there's one more that is really piquing my interest.
Okay.
And that is Amelia Perez.
Amelia Perez.
Any ideas who she might be?
Actress, director, composer.
I don't know.
The searches alone don't give us much
Nothing.
to
Well,
go on.
Yeah, it's almost as if, like, the Academy is deliberately dropping these, like,
Right.
breadcrumbs of information
Yes.
to, like, keep us guessing.
Absolutely. And it's working.
Right.
But, while these mysteries are fun to unpack,
Yeah.
let's not forget the core
The reason for this season.
of the Oscars, those best of categories.
Yes. You're right. We're seeing tons of searches for Best Picture nominees 2025.
Of course.
Best Supporting Actress, Best Actor, you name it.
Yep.
People clearly want to be in the know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even get a jump on their predictions.
Right.
I can already picture, like, office Oscar pools
Yeah.
heating up.
Exactly. And, speaking of predictions, one really intriguing detail
Okay.
we're seeing is a surge in searches for Hulu free trial.
What?
It seems like some folks are hoping to catch all the glamour
Awesome, Nikki.
without breaking the bank.
I love that. Who doesn't love a good freebie?
Right.
Especially for an event like this.
Exactly.
But yeah, this also points to, like, a larger trend.
What's that?
The rise of streaming and how it's changing the way that we experience the Oscars.
Okay.
It's no longer just about gathering around the TV.
Right. It's about accessibility and choice.
Yeah.
People want to watch on their own terms,
Yeah.
on their own devices.
Exactly.
And streaming services are catering to that.
Sure.
And this shift toward streaming could have a major impact on viewership
Yeah.
and maybe even influence the types of films that get nominated in the future.
Wow, that's a fascinating point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the awards themselves, but how the whole landscape of, like, filmmaking and viewing
Yeah.
is evolving.
Exactly.
But let's get back to the buzz surrounding The Brutalist for a moment.
Okay.
What if this film ends up being, like, the front runner,
Right.
but it's also subject to calls for a boycott
Oh.
due to some controversial element?
Now that would be a twist.
Well.
It would definitely add another layer of complexity
Yeah.
to the whole awards season narrative.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Oscars have always been about more than just the films themselves. Like, it's like they're a reflection of our culture, our values,
Mm-hmm.
and the conversations that are happening in society at the time.
For sure.
It's like a microcosm of everything,
Yeah.
all playing out on this grand stage.
I love that.
And speaking of grand stages, we can't forget about the individual stories behind all of these films
Right.
and the
Of
nominations.
course.
Remember Emilia Perez?
Yeah.
What if she is this year's breakout star?
Oh.
Someone who goes from relative obscurity to Oscar nominee overnight.
I like it. That would certainly fit with the whole complete unknown narrative, wouldn't it?
Right.
It's those unexpected stories, the underdog triumphs that make the Oscars so captivating.
Yeah.
It gives hope to aspiring filmmakers and actors everywhere,
Right.
proving that anything is possible.
It's the magic of Hollywood, the idea that dreams can come true.
Exactly.
Before we get too caught up in the fairy tale,
Uh-oh.
there's a potentially darker side to all of this buzz.
What are you talking about?
You're talking about the whispers of a possible boycott.
Oh, yeah.
The online chatter suggesting that this year's Oscars might face some backlash.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
We're seeing these hints of controversy brewing,
Mm-hmm.
and it could have major implications for the entire event.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
It seems there are some concerns about representation and inclusivity,
Okay.
with some feeling that the nominees don't fully reflect the diversity of
Right.
voices and experiences
Yeah.
within the film industry.
That raises a really important question. Are the Oscars truly representative
Good question.
of the world that we live in?
It's a valid concern for sure.
Yeah, and one that deserves further exploration.
Right.
I mean, award shows like the Oscars hold immense cultural power.
They do.
They shape
Mm-hmm.
perceptions, influence trends, and have the ability to amplify marginalized voices.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And while the Academy has made some efforts to diversify its membership and broaden its scope,
Yeah,
there's a feeling that more needs to be done.
I see.
This potential boycott really highlights the ongoing conversation
For sure.
about representation in Hollywood and the need for greater inclusivity both in front of and behind the camera.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that the Oscars aren't just about glitz and glamour. They're also a reflection of our values and priorities as a society.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those values come into conflict,
Yeah.
leading to debate, controversy, and even calls for change.
This potential boycott definitely adds a layer of tension
Yeah,
and intrigue to this year's Oscars.
for sure.
Will it gain momentum?
Right.
Will it impact viewership?
Yeah.
And will it lead to meaningful change within the industry?
These are all questions worth pondering as we delve deeper into this world of Oscar buzz. We've uncovered the internet's obsessions, the mysteries, the potential for triumph and controversy. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far and see where this deep dive takes us next.
Sounds good. It's so interesting how all of these whispers of a potential boycott, are like intertwined
Yeah.
with the buzz surrounding certain films.
Right.
Like take The Brutalist, for example.
Okay.
What if this movie, that's generating all this online chatter becomes like a focal point of the debate?
That would definitely put it in the spotlight.
Right.
Imagine like a film that is both a critical darling
Yeah.
and or source of controversy.
Right.
Talk about must-see TV.
For sure.
It would be really interesting to see how the Academy navigates
Yeah.
a situation like that.
Absolutely. It raises the question of whether the Oscars, should solely celebrate artistic achievement
Okay.
or also consider like a film's
Yeah.
social and cultural impact.
Right.
I mean, it's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Yeah. Sure.
But, while The Brutalist might be sparking debate, remember Emilia Perez?
Oh, yeah. What about her?
What if her potential nomination becomes like a symbol of positive change?
Okay.
Like a sign that Hollywood is embracing these new voices and
Yeah.
perspectives.
Now, that would be a powerful statement.
Right.
It would show that even amidst controversy, there's still room for celebration,
Mm-hmm.
for recognizing like talent and achievement.
Yeah.
That might have been overlooked in the past. It would definitely give weight to that idea of a complete unknown,
Yeah.
whether it's a person or a film,
Mm-hmm.
that they could totally steal the show this year.
It's those unexpected wins, the moments that like defy predictions,
Right.
that make the Oscars so compelling.
Yeah.
Imagine the buzz if Emilia Perez, a newcomer,
Yeah.
wins, against more established names.
Totally.
It would be a victory not just for her, but for everyone who's ever felt
Right.
underestimated or overlooked.
It would be a good reminder that the Oscars are more than just an award ceremony.
Yeah.
It's like a platform for stories,
Mm-hmm.
for voices that deserve to be heard.
For sure.
And speaking of voices, let's loop back to those how to watch searches for a second.
Okay.
What do you think those searches tell us about the audience's mindset
Yeah.
going into this year's Oscars?
I think it really speaks to the anticipation, the excitement
Yeah.
that surrounds this event.
Yeah.
You know, even with the potential for controversy, people are eager to tune in,
Right.
to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, the Oscars are a cultural touchstone, like a
Right.
shared experience that brings people together,
Right.
even if it's to debate the merits of The Brutalist or to
Yeah.
champion the rise of Emilia Perez.
Totally. It's like a collective viewing party
Exactly.
with everyone weighing in,
Ah.
sharing their opinions,
Right.
maybe even placing some bets.
Placing some bets. I love it.
Speaking of bets, I am curious to see how those best of categories shake out.
Yeah.
Are there any early frontrunners based on the search data?
You know, it's still early to say for sure,
Okay.
but we are seeing some patterns emerge.
Like what?
For example, searches for Best Picture nominees are dominated by like a mix of big budget blockbusters
Okay.
and those smaller independent films.
Interesting.
So it kind of suggests this potential battle between like spectacle and substance,
I see.
a clash between Hollywood's, established players
Yeah.
and those up-and-coming filmmakers who are like pushing the boundaries.
That is like a classic Oscars showdown.
Right.
It's always so fascinating to see which films resonate with audiences
Yeah.
and critics alike.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're on the topic of trends,
Okay.
remember those searches for Hulu free trial?
Yes.
I wonder if that signifies like a shift in viewing habits.
Okay.
Are more people opting for streaming services over like traditional cable?
It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah,
You know, streaming has become so increasingly popular in recent years,
for sure.
offering like convenience and accessibility that traditional cable can't always match.
Right.
And this shift could have implications for the Oscars viewership numbers
Okay.
and might even influence the Academy's decision-making process in the
Oh.
future.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
It's not just about like who wins the awards,
Right.
but how this entire ecosystem of filmmaking and viewing is
Yeah.
evolving.
Exactly.
And speaking of evolution, I'm curious to see how this conversation around representation
Yes.
unfolds.
Yeah.
Will those whispers of a boycott grow louder?
Right.
Will the Academy address these concerns?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a
Mhm.
delicate balancing act for the Academy.
Yeah.
They want to celebrate artistic excellence
Oh,
while also acknowledging the importance of inclusivity
Mm.
and reflecting the diversity of the film industry.
for sure.
How they navigate this will undoubtedly shape the narrative
Yeah.
of this year's Oscars.
It's a good reminder that the Oscars aren't just about entertainment.
Right.
You know, they're a cultural barometer reflecting the values and conversations
Mhm.
happening in our society.
For sure.
And while we might be drawn in by the glamour
Yeah.
and the anticipation,
Right.
it's important to engage critically with the event
I agree.
and consider the bigger picture.
Absolutely. The Oscars are more than just a night of awards and speeches.
Yeah.
They're a reflection of who we are
Mm-hmm.
and what we value.
Yes.
They have the power to like spark debate, challenge norms,
Agreed.
and inspire change.
For sure.
And as we continue our deep dive
Yeah.
into this year's buzz, it's crucial to remember that context.
You're absolutely right. The Oscars aren't just about predicting the winners
Right.
or enjoying the spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
They're about engaging with the art of filmmaking
Exactly.
and recognizing its impact on our culture.
yes.
And as we delve further into like the potential controversies
Right.
and the triumphs of this year's event,
Mhm.
it's that deeper understanding
Yes.
that will make the experience truly rewarding.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about The Brutalist, we've talked about Emilia Perez,
Yeah.
and this like looming question of representation at this year's show.
Right.
It feels like this year's Oscars are going to be more than just a celebration of film.
Yeah.
It's shaping up to be a real like cultural moment.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's
Yeah.
not just about, which film takes home Best Picture, but it's about like the
Yeah.
conversations that those films spark. Will The Brutalist be lauded for its artistry despite the potential controversy?
Yeah.
Will Emilia Perez's story become like an emblem of progress?
Right.
These are the narratives that will play out beyond the awards themselves.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
I agree.
It's like we're not just looking at search terms.
Yeah.
We're really getting a glimpse into the values and like the debates
Yeah,
that are shaping the film world right now.
exactly.
Remember how we talked about the rise of streaming earlier?
Mhm.
What if that becomes like a major theme
Yeah,
this year?
right.
Maybe a streaming-only film wins big,
Okay,
signaling a real power shift in Hollywood.
that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
The lines between like traditional cinema and streaming are blurring,
Yeah,
and the Oscars are right at the center of that.
right in the middle.
Evolution.
Yeah, it would be quite a statement if a film that, bypassed traditional theatrical release
Totally.
ended up taking home the top prize.
I think so too.
It would definitely signal a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
As we've been discussing all these like potential scenarios,
Yeah.
it strikes me that a complete unknown could be more than just like a person or film.
Right.
Maybe it's a concept.
Okay.
Like the idea that this year's Oscars could be full of surprises, twists that we can't even predict right now.
I love that interpretation.
Yeah.
It leaves room for the unexpected.
Right.
The kind of moments that make live events like this so captivating.
Yes.
Maybe it's a new category that emerges.
Right.
Maybe it's like a groundbreaking technical achievement that steals the show.
Yeah.
Or a speech that goes viral and sets social media ablaze.
Oh my gosh, the possibilities are really endless.
I know.
And that sense of the unknown that like anything can happen energy.
Right.
That's really what makes the Oscars more than just an awards ceremony.
Exactly.
It's a cultural phenomenon that reflects our collective fascination with stories, with the power of film to like move us, challenge us, and connect us.
Exactly. And as you get ready to watch the 2025 Oscars, think about it this way.
Okay.
You're not just observing, you're participating in a moment.
Wow.
That captures the zeitgeist.
I like that.
Pay attention to the narratives that emerge, the debates that unfold, and the surprises that keep you glued to your screen.
Because in the end, the Oscars are more than just a competition.
Right.
They're a reflection of who we are, what we value, and where the world of film is heading.